There's a $1 garden hose sitting in your backyard right now that can heat water to 140 degrees Fahrenheit without electricity, without gas, and without a single solar panel. Just a black rubber hose and sunlight. The Romans knew this 2,000 years ago, and every ancient civilization that had running water figured it out independently. Then the plumbing industry spent $60 billion a year making absolutely sure you forgot. They did not stop teaching this because it failed. They stopped because it worked too well. A trick that eliminates your entire water heating bill with a $1 hose cannot generate monthly revenue. And what cannot generate monthly revenue must be erased from public memory. This is the story of the cheapest hot water system ever built, and why every plumber on earth prays you never watch this video. Welcome to Forbidden Camping, where we crack open the vaults the industry sealed shut. If these stories matter to you, the subscribe button and the bell are the simplest way to protect this knowledge before it gets buried again. Now let me take you back to 1891, when a man named Clarence Kemp stood in his Baltimore workshop staring at a metal tank he had painted black and placed inside a wooden box topped with a glass lid. He had filled that tank with cold water before sunrise, and by 2 in the afternoon, without lighting a single match, the water inside was hot enough to scald skin on contact. Kemp was not a university professor, and he was not an engineer working for a gas company. He was a tinsmith who fixed gutters and shaped metal containers for a living. But he understood something. The modern energy industry has spent over a century and hundreds of billions of dollars trying to bury under advertising campaigns and rewritten building codes. Dark surfaces absorb solar radiation and convert it directly into thermal energy with no moving parts, no combustion, and no monthly subscription fee. Kemp called his invention the Climax Solar Water Heater and began selling it door to door across the American South and into the sun-drenched suburbs of California. By 1900, more than 1,600 Climax units were installed in homes across Southern California alone, and entire neighborhoods were heating all their household water without paying a cent to the gas company. Families ran hot baths, washed dishes, and cleaned clothes using nothing but water. The sun heated for free every single day of the year. The gas companies watched their revenue projections collapse in real time, and they did not sit idle. But here's the part nobody tells you. Kemp was not even close to being the first person who discovered this. Japanese communities had been heating communal baths using wooden barrels painted black and placed in open courtyards since the 1700s. Before them, Persian engineers designed passive solar channels carved into dark stone that delivered warm water to entire villages without ever lighting a flame. Ancient Egyptian nobles had servants fill shallow clay basins each morning, and by evening the desert sun had turned that water steaming hot for their nightly baths. And long before any of them, Roman bathhouses used lead pipes routed deliberately across sun-exposed stone terraces to preheat water before it ever reached the furnaces underneath. For over 2,000 years, every civilization on every continent that touched this idea arrived at the same conclusion: dark pipe plus sunlight equals free hot water. The physics have never changed, not once in 2,000 years. What changed was who profited from making sure you never learned about it. By the 1920s, natural gas companies lobbied state governments across America to rewrite residential plumbing codes in ways that conveniently excluded passive solar from the list of approved water heating methods. Utility companies funded campaigns telling homeowners that solar heating was primitive, unreliable, and beneath the standard of a modern American household. Plumbing trade associations quietly removed every reference to solar thermal heating from their professional training manuals, and Clarence Kemp's Climax solar water heater was buried in patent archives that nobody was ever meant to open again. But here is what the industry forgot. You cannot bury physics, and you cannot lobby away the electromagnetic spectrum. You absolutely cannot stop sunlight from heating a black rubber hose full of water, no matter how many billions of dollars you pour into trying. Today, a $1 garden hose from any hardware store does exactly what Kemp's Climax did over 130 years ago. And in some ways, it does it better. This video is just the first vault, and I have collected everything the plumbing industry does not want you to know, all inside the complete Forbidden Camping Resource Pack, a full step-by-step solar water heating blueprint that costs less than $5 to build from scratch. Detailed temperature charts showing exactly how hot your water gets by hour, by season, and by your specific geographic latitude. Connection diagrams for showers, kitchen sinks, outdoor camp kitchens, and fully off-grid cabins running entirely on solar-heated water. The exposed truth about how residential building codes were quietly rewritten in the 1920s to block passive solar methods from American homes forever. Complete material lists with real dollar amounts that will make any licensed plumber deeply uncomfortable. Over 10 guides in one place. No fluff. Straight to the point. The link is in the description. But stay right here because the science behind this one trick is where things get truly shocking. A standard 50ft black garden hose holds approximately 3 gall of water. And when left coiled in direct sunlight on a dark surface for just 2 hours on a summer day, that water reaches between 120 and 140 degree F. That is hotter than most residential water heaters in America are factory set to deliver to your tap. The United States Department of Energy recommends setting your home water heater to 120 degrees Fahrenheit to prevent scalding. And your $1 garden hose in July exceeds that with zero electricity, zero gas, and zero monthly cost. A 2019 study from the University of Arizona measured water temperatures inside black polyethylene tubing exposed to direct desert sunlight, and peak readings hit 152 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to cause a third-degree burn in under 2 seconds. The researchers noted that this level of thermal gain required no reflectors, no insulation, and no mechanical components whatsoever, just black tubing in the sun. Now think about what that means. The average American household spends between $400 and $600 every single year just to heat water. Roughly 18% of the entire home energy bill. Over a 10-year period, a family of 4 will spend between $4,000 and $6,000 on water heating alone. And every single dollar goes to gas utilities and electric companies who have known since 1891 that a black hose in the sun does the same job for absolutely nothing. If you have made it this far, you already know more about free hot water than 99% of homeowners in this country. Subscribe and share this with someone who deserves to stop handing $600 a year to an industry that has been lying to them since 1920. Everything the plumbing industry buried is inside the complete resource pack. Link in the description. Now, stay with me because the next vault is the heaviest one I have ever opened. So, if the science is this simple and the history stretches back over 2,000 years, why is a $1 solar water heater not standard equipment in every American home? Why does the average family still burn $500 a year heating water with gas and electricity when a garden hose left in the sun does the same thing for free? Here is where the story turns ugly. The water heater manufacturing industry in the United States alone generates over $28 billion in annual revenue, and that number only covers the hardware. When you add the gas utility fees, the electric bills, the plumber service calls, and the annual maintenance contracts, the total ecosystem built around heating your water exceeds $60 billion every single year, $60 billion flowing through a system that depends entirely on one thing: your belief that you need their product to get hot water. The moment you coil a black garden hose on your roof and connect it to your shower, you exit that entire system permanently and you take your $500 a year with you. You cannot patent a garden hose sitting in the sun because the concept has existed for 2,000 years. You cannot create a subscription model for sunlight because nobody owns the electromagnetic spectrum. You cannot charge a monthly maintenance fee for a coil of rubber tubing that has no moving parts, no filters, no electronics, and nothing that can break down or wear out. And that is precisely why this method had to be erased from public knowledge with surgical precision. The mechanism was elegant in its cruelty, and it unfolded over decades. First, the gas industry lobby pushed state legislators to rewrite residential plumbing codes throughout the 1920s and 30s, and solar thermal methods were quietly reclassified as non-standard. That single word, non-standard, meant that no licensed plumber in the country could legally install a passive solar water system without risking their professional certification and their livelihood. Then trade schools across America removed passive solar heating from their plumbing curriculum entirely by the 1950s, and an entire generation of plumbers graduated without ever hearing the name Clarence Kemp. By the 1970s, the eraser was so complete that when the oil crisis hit and millions of Americans desperately searched for energy alternatives, almost nobody remembered that the answer had been sitting in their backyard since 1891. The industry did not hide this because it was dangerous. They hid it because it was free. And free is the one thing a $60 billion system cannot survive. Now here is exactly how to build your own solar water heater using nothing but a garden hose and a few dollars worth of hardware store supplies. Step 1. Buy a standard 50ft black garden hose in 3/4 in diameter for maximum water volume. The cheapest one on the shelf works perfectly. If the only hose available is green or another color, wrap it in black electrical tape or spray it with flat black paint, the kind that costs $2 a can. Step 2. Coil the hose into a flat spiral on any surface that gets direct sunlight for at least 4 to 6 hours per day. A south-facing roof section works best, but a concrete patio, a wooden platform, or even a sheet of plywood painted black will do the job. Step 3. Elevate the coil at least 3 ft above the point where you want hot water to flow out, because gravity does the work that an electric pump would normally do, which means no pump, no electricity. no cost, and no monthly bill ever. Step 4. Connect the input end of the hose to your outdoor spigot or rain barrel using a standard garden hose connector. Then connect the output to wherever you want hot water delivered. For an outdoor shower, attach a simple shower head adapter that costs less than $5. For camp kitchen, run the output through a basic ball valve to control flow rate. Step 5, wait 2 hours. And on a sunny day between May and September in most of the continental United States, the water coming out of that hose will be between 120 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a full hot shower powered by nothing except sunlight hitting a black rubber hose. And the total cost of this entire system is between $1 and $8 depending on what you already own. Compare that to the average tank water heater installation, which costs between $800 and $2,000 up front, plus $40 to $60 per month in gas or electricity to operate for the rest of its life. Over 5 years, the garden hose system pays for itself roughly 600 times over, and that ratio is so absurd that the industry literally cannot allow you to know it exists. Now, I need to be completely honest with you about one limitation. The system performs best in warm and sunny climates between April and October, and in northern states during deep winter, output temperatures will drop, and this method alone will not fully replace a conventional water heater year-round. But here's what actually matters. Even in moderate climates, this $1 hose can eliminate 60 to 80% of your annual water heating costs by handling all of your warm season demand entirely for free. That is still $300 to $400 per year back in your pocket from a device that costs less than a gas station coffee, and for off-grid camping, van life, overlanding, and backcountry expeditions. This is not just a money saver, it is unlimited hot water anywhere the sun shines. This knowledge did not die. It waited. It waited in dusty patent offices and forgotten history books and the muscle memory of cultures that heated water for thousands of years before anyone ever thought to sell a water heater. The physics never changed. The sun still rises every morning, and a black hose still turns cold water into hot water exactly the way it did for Clarence Kemp in 1891 and for Roman engineers 2,000 years before him. The only thing that changed was who controlled the story, and now you control it. If this vault opens something for you today, subscribe and share this video with everyone you know. Every single share sends this knowledge to someone the industry prayed would never find it, and every subscription keeps this vault from being locked shut again. The next vault opens soon, and what the industry buried inside that one is even heavier.